Okay, so let's talk slopes. Let's identify some slopes. What kind of slope is this? That's an uphill slope. In math, what do we call an uphill slope? A positive slope. And what about this one? That's a negative slope. What do we call this one?
Zero.
That's a zero slope. Good. And what about this one? That one's undefined, right? Remember that? All right. Well, believe it or not, that has something to do with fractions. Aren't slopes fractions? What does slope stand for? Rise over run. Rise over run is a comparison or a fraction, correct? So when I have a 0 in the numerator, what type of slope is that? That's a 0 slope. So 0 over 2 would be a 0 slope. So give me an example of an undefined slope. 2 over 0 would be an undefined slope. Okay. You guys remember that? No, I didn't really want to write that. Slope, rise over run. Okay, so your next task is to tell me which one of these belong in the category of 0 slope and which one of these belong in the category of undefined slope, and why. So talk with your shoulder partners. Okay, so Celeste, do you have one? Good. Do you remember that, you guys?
Yeah.
N over O is no. That's 0. Whoops. Wrong way. And now it's going to be funky with me. Let's do it. So, there, I did it the wrong way. O. I don't block your voice. My microphone is right here in my computer, and so your voices are too far away.
Wait, is it okay?
N over O is no, right? So when there's a 0 in the denominator, that means undefined slope. The reason for that is, you guys, if you were trying to, what if N was 1? Rise up 1 and go nowhere on the 0, correct? Let's start here. Rise up 1. Am I going to move to the right or the left? Rise up 1 again. Am I going to move to the left or the right? Rise up 1 again. See that? It makes a straight line. You're not moving from side to side. You're only moving up and down. And that's why. Over here, you don't move up and down. You just move side to side. Your run is the one that's moving. Right, Jesse?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's erase that. All right. Who else? Caden. It's undefined. Why is this one undefined? Perfect. If M was 1, then this would be 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So that would make this whole thing undefined. Matt is volunteering next. We're trying to categorize these as 0 slope or undefined.
Oh, okay.
Any one of these.
4 minus 1 over 3.
Good, because 4 minus 4 is 0, and a 0 in the numerator means 0 slope. Okay, who else? Let's hear it, Trina.
The 3n minus 6, that one goes under 0 slope.
That one goes under 0 slope. Why?
Because it's okay.
It's not, though. It's tricky. The 2, if it goes up top, becomes a 0 in the top, but look what happens in the bottom. Oh, wait. No, it is right. You're right. I was thinking it was negative 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. So you're right. Thank you. If n was 2, 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. But 2 down here would make this 4. So it would be 0 over 4. You see it? Got this one. What do you think? Undefined, why? Perfect. 0 squared would be 0. Anything times 0 is 0. So 6 times 0 is 0. So this one would be undefined. Doesn't matter. Still undefined. If you have a 0 in the denominator, it's undefined. Okay. Nice job. Okay, so let's do a little bit of factoring conceptually. So 8 divided by 2. How would I want to factor that in the most lazy way possible? What? No, I don't want you to simplify it. Jesse, do I need you to move? Because you keep talking. Okay. 4 over 1 is the answer. How would I factor it to get there? I know you can all do that in your head, but we're going to do the easy ones first and then do the hard ones later. I'm modeling the easy one for you first. How would I factor 8? 4 times 2. Because I have a 2 in the denominator. Or, some like to say, a 1 times 2 in the denominator. When I do that, I get, why can I cancel the 2 and the 2? Because why? They're common. Okay. Anybody else have a different explanation? Because they're the same in the numerator and the denominator. Good. There's a specific reason why. Nobody? What is 2 over 2? 1. So all we're doing is simplifying all the 1s. If I have a 2 over 2, that's just 1. I can actually write it like this. 2 over 2 is 1. Make sense? That's why. It's not some fancy trick. It's because 2 divided by 2 is just 1. Okay, so simplified, this problem would be just simply 4. All right, let's do the same thing with this one. Let's factor 72. 72 can be factored lots of different ways, but what would be the easiest way to factor it? What? 6 times what? 12, thank you. 6 times 12 is 72. Over 6 times 1. Let's go find the 1. 6 over 6 is just 1, so that simplifies to 12. All right? So for those of you that didn't have me last semester, I factor everything. I break everything down. Let's factor this one. Who can factor that one for me? 7 times what? 7 times 12 is 84, times x, times y, 7 times 7, times x, times z. Let's go find the 1. There's a 1. There's a 1. That's it, right? No. 12y. 12y over 7z. I should be doing equals, 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 equals. Okay. What's this star mean? State the excluded values. What can x not be? I don't want 0 in the denominator, so what can x not be? 0, because if x was 0, the whole thing would be 0. What can z not be? Z can't be 0 either, because then no matter what x is, x could be 1,000,000. But if z was 0, it would make the whole thing 0, right? Okay, let's try this one. How could I factor this one?
Over 2x.
Wouldn't want to complicate it like that. Because you can't cross this right here, this quantity right there, is on lockdown. That's not really x minus 1. That's a number minus 1. What's a number minus 1? What if I said that that's a 5? It would be 4. That's an actual number inside of there. If it's got parentheses, it means it's on lockdown. It's one whole number. It's just in code right now. What? You can't use it because it's in code right now. Do you know what it is? Do you know what that is? Do you know what x minus 1 is? Can you tell me what that number is in there? So you better not mess with it in there, right? Do you see what I mean? You don't want to mess with it because you don't know what that number is in there. Do you know what this number is?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a 2. 2 times something we don't know yet. But we do know something about it. What can x not be? That's the only thing, the only piece of information we can get from this, x minus 1, is that x cannot be 1. Because if x was 1, this inside of this parenthesis, this magic number, whatever it is, this mystery number, 1 minus 1, that would be 0. And if it was 0, it would make the whole denominator 0, and it would be undefined. Kind of make sense? Okay. We're not. We're just simplifying. And we're just going to leave it alone because there's nothing we can do with it. Okay? So what could I simplify? What could I factor? The 6 can be factored. That can be 2 times 3 over 2 times x minus 1. I know what 2 is. I know what 3 is. They're being multiplied, and 2 is being multiplied by this mystery number right here. So the only thing I can cancel is 2 and 2 because 2 divided by 2 is 1. So what am I left with? 3 over x minus 1. Questions? All right, let's get to it. I will be able to simplify radical expressions and identify excluded values. I will be able to define an excluded value is what I want you to do for your language objective. Okay, so once you guys do number 1 in your clicker, I'll give you about 60 seconds. Not 60 seconds, that's way too long. About 20 seconds. All right, so most of you got that right, but I expected more to get it right from that. Okay, so what is my first step when I'm factoring? But when I'm factoring, what's the first step in factoring?
9.
No. GCS. Good. Who said that? Good. All right, so Levi, what would you factor out? What? What do they both have? Not just 9. They both have a negative 9. If I pull out a negative 9, what's left? R. If I pull out a negative 9 from 18, what's left? No. 2. Now, if you get confused with your signs, you're in luck because you could just go back and see if it's right by distributing. Negative 9 times R is negative 9R. That's what we have. Negative 9 times 2 is negative 18. That's what we have. So the answer would be A. Okay? Let's try another one. 6. You guys did so good. Look at that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm recording. Oh, if the answer was D, then yeah, we would be in a little bit of trouble. Okay. My turn, guys. So tell me what it isn't and why. What? It's what? It's not A because they're both negative. Negative times negative is a positive, but a -1 and a -6 does not make a -7, right? This is a +7. So it couldn't possibly be A. I did. Come tell me what it isn't and why. Is Celeste the only one that's paying attention? Okay, Matt. It's not D. Why? Because 1 times -6 does not make a +6. Good. Okay, tell me why. One of them's positive, one of them's negative. And these are both positive, so it has to be C. Who can tell me my excluded values? What can P not be? Can't be what? 1? If P was 1, that would be 2. 1's okay. -1. If P was -1, that whole thing would be 0, right? The mystery number would be 0. What else? -6. Because if P was -6, that would be 0 as well. Okay? Try another one. Let's do number 3. All right, so you guys did pretty good on that one. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, what is it not and why? Kaden?
It's not because 1 of them has
And -5x times a 5x is -25x squared, and that's not what we have. So that's out. What else? Share it. You're right, because that -2 right there, you can't possibly get a middle term that's positive. That's -2 right there. What else? Let's hear it. One's negative, one's positive, that one's out. So it has to, what do we call that? It's not a difference. It's a perfect square, right? It's a perfect square trinomial. Good. You guys want to try this last one? Yes, Mrs. Muller. That sounds fantastic. Let's do it. Awesome. Recording. I don't like these results. But I don't like these results. Right? That's too many wrong answers for me. I'm glad we did that one, though. Okay, let's look at it. Okay, what is the first step? Ethan, what's the first step in factoring? GCF. What's the GCF of 4r squared and -36?
4.
4. So what is it not and why? Which one could it not be?
Oh.
It can't be A. Right? When I factor out of 4, what am I left with?
R squared. And then 8 or 9.
-9. Good. That's what we have so far. So why is this not the right answer? Why? Because I can go further. This is correct, but it's not done yet. Because r squared -9 is what, Mario? That's the difference of 2 squares. Right? So r squared -9 is really r plus 3, r minus 3. That, right? So the answer is D, not C. Oh. Okay, good.
I did that problem when we were supposed to be doing the other one.
Okay. All right, let's move on. Ooh, we forgot our excluded values. What's the excluded value of this one, guys? I need a volunteer. Wait, where's the answer? Right here. It's a little hard. Okay, guys, I need to talking this off a little bit, please. So this whole thing, guys, this whole thing cannot be 0, right? So couldn't I set it up like that? 5x plus 2 cannot be 0. How would I solve for x? Subtract 2 from both sides, what would I get? Why? Didn't I say all of this can't be 0? So let's set it up to not equal to 0. Divide by 5, divide by 5. So x can't be negative 2/5. Check this out. If x was negative 2/5, what would happen? What would happen here? They would cancel, and what would this be? 0. Okay? But you don't have to magically come up with that. You can just set it up not equal to 0 and find it. So what about this one? What can r not be? Not just 3. R can't be 3 or negative 3 because it's squared. If r was negative 3, what would that make? 9, and 9 minus 9 is 0. Okay? You want to find that? Do it like this. R squared minus 9 cannot be what? 0. When I add 9 to both sides, can you please stop doing that? R squared cannot equal 9. How do I solve for that? Take the square root of both sides. That makes r cannot equal plus or minus 3. Okay, we need to move on. Okay, so I need you guys to have to put pencils down, faces up.
Please, no kids.
Pencils down, faces up. No. Did I say clickers up?
No.
I just said faces up, right? Okay. So, number 5, simplify and state the excluded values. I'm going to factor 12 and 48. I notice that there is a 12 and 48. So I simply say 12 times a. I don't need to factor 12 down because I know there's a 12 down here. Be smart about your factoring, right? Less work for you. 48 is 12 times 4. And a cubed can be broken up. A cubed is really a times a, right? So let's do a times a squared. Isn't that 3 a's that I have there?
Yeah.
But I only needed to break up one of them because there's only one in the numerator. So therefore, I'm going to cancel my 12, cancel my a's, and I'm left with
4a squared.
1 over 4a squared. Okay? Let's go back to the original problem. What can a not be? I can't hear, guys. Johnny, I can't hear. Did you want to answer her question? Okay. Okay, I got that question in last period too. Is the 1 necessary on the top? If I told you that I have a half of something and I did this, would that make sense? No, it can't be blank up there. And if it's 0, what would that be? That would be okay or 0, right? So it can't be 0, so what must be up there? A 1. Just like if I have this, isn't there always an invisible 1 underneath it? Okay? Make sense? There's not nothing underneath it. Because if I put nothing underneath it, what would that be? Undefined. Make sense? Okay. Interesting that both classes had that same exact question. Okay, I'm going to do one more. I've got 6xyz cubed. Here's our steps. We factored, we stated our excluded values, we cancel factors in the numerator and denominator. can't cancel parts of polynomials. Parts of polynomials are those mystery numbers, right? If it's in parentheses like that, you can't cancel stuff like that. Okay? All right, so let's do it. And then I'm going to have you guys write it down. So 6xyz cubed. I need to break up that 6. I see a 3 in the denominator, so I'm just going to make that 3 times 2 times x times y. How should I break up my z? Same as the earlier one, z times z squared. Because I have one z down here, so I'm going to break it up so I can cancel it. 1 second, Jesse. All over 3 times, I've got 2 x's. I only have 1 x up here, so I better break that up. I've got 2 y's, so I better break those up too. And a z. Now, I can cancel. 3 divided by 3 is 1. X divided by x is 1. Y divided by y is 1. Z divided by z is 1. You guys see anything else? Hold on. So what am I left with? 2z squared over x, y. Let's state our excluded values. What can x not be? What can x not be, guys? What would screw everything up in the denominator? 0. So x can't be 0. What about y? Also 0. What about z? Also 0. None of those can be 0, or it would make everything in the denominator 0. Okay, go ahead and write that down. Alright, how could we factor this one? This one's a little bit easier. This one's on lockdown. Okay, let's do this. Let's not do it first. This one's on lockdown because it's got a plus sign. It's mystery. It's m plus something. We don't know what it is. It's not m by itself. It's not 3 by itself. It's those two together. Okay. Anybody see anything? I see the difference of 2 squares. Thank you, Philip. So how could I factor m squared minus 9? Good job. M plus 3, m minus 3. That works well for us, right? Why does that work well for us? I can cancel the m plus 3 because I can cancel quantity as long as the whole quantity gets canceled. Right? That's a mystery number. Doesn't that mystery number, they're the same mystery number, right? So if I can cancel them because that one over that one equals 1. Okay. Levi. No. Why would the negative and positive cancel out? I want to hear what your thinking is. You're doing the inverse, right? This and this becomes this. Maybe that's what you're thinking of, right? Okay, so I only need to do one more thing. Well, I'm going to write my answer. What is my answer? What's left in the numerator? 1. What's left in the denominator? M minus 3. What are my excluded values? What can m not be? 3, and what else? Negative 3. Because if that was a negative 3, that would be 0. And if this was a regular 3, that would be 0. So it can't be 3 or negative 3. Okay? All right, write that one down. Okay. If you don't know how to factor these, you need to come after school, Brenda. If you don't know how to factor these, you need to come after school. I am no longer going to use the Xbox. I'm going to step it up a level, okay? We spent a lot of time on factoring, right? A lot of time. So if you don't have it yet, you need to come by and get it after school because I'm not going to stop and redo it again. But I am going to step it up a notch. So, I'm going to factor, I am tired of being interrupted. Thank you. P squared minus 8p plus 12. I want to factor this. P squared is p times p. I need to figure out factors that make up 12 when I multiply, and when I add, make negative 8. So 12 is 1 and 12, or 2 and 6, or 3 and 4. When I multiply a positive times a positive, I get a positive, but this is a negative number. How am I going to make these both? I could make them both negative. Would that work? So when I add them, it is easier, but pretty soon you can do this in your head. So what two numbers are going to make negative 8? Out of these combinations, does 1 and negative 1 and negative 12 make negative 8? No. Does negative 2 and negative 6 make negative 8?
Yes.
Yes, so that's it. Negative 2 and negative 6. Okay? So there it is there. I'm going to change my color. All right, so now that I have this factored, I'm going to go ahead and bring it up here. P minus 2 times P minus 6 all over P minus 2. Now what can I do, Johnny? Cancel what? P minus 2 equals P minus 6. Don't pack up or I'll make you unpack. Okay, but I forgot. I need my excluded value. What can P not be?
6.
No. This is the numerator. It's okay. Denominator. 2. Positive 2. If P was 2, that would make it 0. Hold on. I need you to write down your closing thought, please. Tell me where the mistake is.
We don't have our papers.